jobs, internships and low-cost housing. This happened as the government and the private sector agreed to focus on how to create more jobs, create more openings for internships and build low-cost housing for the urban poor. During the opening of the 7th Presidential Round-Table meeting, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the government will partner more with the private sector to create more jobs.
In Africa, have taken the role of money laundering. Burden that is currently borne by all young people. We've been able to gather, working with your government, about 3 billion Kenya shillings. 396,000 SMEs were registered by 2016 by the Registrar of Companies, up from 45,000 in 2014. This is a great prospect for job creation as we see them grow. On the Business Registration Service Act 2015, again, this gave reduced some of the bottleneck and challenges that undermine business regulatory environment, a great attraction of FDI.
Without a doubt, our doing business indicators are improving. Without a doubt, some of the legislation that had been stalling for a while has indeed passed. The Companies Act being one that we had all been waiting for a very long time. In terms of our Huduma centers, in terms of making it easier to register businesses and to access government services without having to wait in long queues. What we have done in terms of eliminating some of the fees that were an impediment, the NEMA problems and etc. that were an impediment to business. These are things that we have done. Our focus also on infrastructure, on energy. I think we have also committed and delivered on some of those aspects as well. But all of this is not to say that there's still not more to be done. And we would want to hear from you where we can indeed improve on the issues that you believe to be a priority.
Labour Principal Secretary Khadija Kasachun has challenged youth, women and people with disabilities to make use of the various funds being disbursed by the national government to improve their livelihoods. Kasachun has said the government has been distributing millions of shillings every financial year to benefit youth, women and people with disabilities, adding that the 3 groups have been targeted through the Uwezo Women's Enterprise and Youth Enterprise Funds, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. She was speaking in Kapenguria during a one-day capacity building workshop and access to government procurement opportunities.
Wanahitaji kusaidiwa na serikali yetu ilionelea vizuri, hasa ya mayatima. Tunawaambia muwe katika vikundi ili pesa hizi iweze kuwafaidi.
Hakuna mahali duniani, hakuna, wacha niwaambie ukweli, ambapo utapata pesa bila interest. Ni Kenya peke yake. Na hakuna mfanyi biashara, hakuna tajiri, wacha niwaseme, hakuna tajiri dunia hii hajachukua loan. Kwa hivyo loan inatuwezesha tufanye vitu sahihi, sio kwa future.
Tanzania is working to double its annual coffee production and become more influential in the world coffee market. The country has come up with a new strategy to increase production. This is expected to encourage families to work together as a single unit, giving women more say in the running of family businesses. Well, on this week's Next Frontier, Philip Keitani visited such farmers in Tanzania and tells us how this new initiative works. Take a look.
Happy Justin and her husband Edison Mkwavi are the new face of coffee production sector in Tanzania. They, just like the country, are exuding hope that the new way of doing things will help revive the country's fortunes in the sector. I crossed the border into Tanzania with the aim of learning more about the Tanzanian coffee sector, and my ventures led me to the hills of Mwanga in Same, Kilimanjaro region, where small-scale farmers are trying to revive the coffee sector in the region. On arrival, I was welcomed with song and dance. As Justin and Edison show me around their small coffee farm that they now say has changed their lives for the better.
Kina mama tulikuwa tumezarauliwa, tulikuwa hatupewi kipaumbele.
Tulikuwa tumeona kahawa sio zao linaloweza kutupatia kipato kizuri.
The initiative to create this working environment is part of a project by Hivos East Africa.
The project that we are doing with coffee farmers in Tanzania seeks to achieve 3 main goals. One is to increase quantity, to increase quality, and to increase the involvement of women and youth in the coffee sector.
Another farmer I met was Clifford Elewa, who used to farm an illegal crop in Tanzania, popularly known as kat or mirungi. After 9 years of playing hide and seeks with Tanzanian law enforcement, Clifford realized the risks were no longer worth it anymore and uprooted the illegal crop and planted coffee instead.
Kuna siku nitaacha familia yangu, nikaacha biashara ya mirungi. Nikarudi kwenye zao la kahawa kwa sababu zao la kahawa kwetu ni la asili.
All these farmers currently owe their small successes to a countrywide coffee program known as the Coffee Partnership for Tanzania, a program co-funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and 6 other implementing partners. The goal of the program is to empower male and female farmers to take full advantage of the opportunities arising from the production of coffee and other products.
Shamba zote zilikuwa za nani? Za baba. Kwa hiyo mama alikuwa hana shamba mahali popote, yani anasimama tu kama katoto tu.
Because of this, there is little incentive for women to improve their coffee production, and they rather concentrate on products over which they have more control. But now through the Gender Action Learning for Sustainability training, these farmers are trained on how working together as a family unit, which will help increase their production.
Baba ameshashika mafunzo na sasa hivi tunatengenezea mradi wetu wa kahawa vizuri, tunapeleka watoto wetu shule.
The program also aims at maximizing in the use of visuals, where farmers are taught on how to put their 5-year plans in drawings like these ones and break it down into 1-year short achievable plans. The Tanzanian coffee sector, with the help of other stakeholders, are trying to double the amount of coffee being produced in the country. And one methodology they think will work is ensuring that families work together in planning on how to double their own production. Philip Keitang for The Next Frontier.
It is now 31 minutes past the hour. You're watching Morning Express. Take a short break now, but when we come back, I will tell you more about a new Burundi battalion in Somalia. Stay with us.
This is KTN News.
Nairobi, the city in the sun, is Kenya's capital and home to more than 100 international companies and organizations.
What I like about Nairobi is the beauty of Nairobi itself, the natural beauty. I think it's the only city that has this beautiful park in the central, of the city.
The adoption of the new constitution and the devolved system of governance has seen a lot of changes being realized in Nairobi City County under the able leadership of Governor Evans Kidero.
We believe in a newspaper that entertains, surprises, informs. We believe in a paper that brings you the truth, clearly, concisely, without bias. Every day, we believe in a paper about people, real people, inspiring stories from near and far. We believe in a paper for everyone, That's why we're changing. Feel the change with the all-new Standard.
This is KTN News.
Welcome back. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has begun hearings on disputes from the just concluded political party nominations. Some aspirants have, however, questioned the jurisdiction of the Disputes Committee over some of the cases.
With the general election just 62 calendar days away, the IEBC is in a race against time, settling disputes from the just concluded nomination exercise before gazetting a final list to appear on the ballot box.
Today, I want to assure you that as a commission, we are committed to ensuring that this country gets a free, fair, and credible election come the polling day. And this process is part of ensuring that we have a free and fair election.
Among the issues the tribunal set out to address was failure by some of the candidates to submit the nomination requirements to their respective returning officers before the deadline. Among them, Dr. Shem Ochodho, who vied for the Homa Bay senatorial election on a Reform and Build Kenya party ticket, but returning officers were largely on the receiving end.
On 28th, the complainant received a phone call from the returning officer of Homa Bay County to inform him that, contrary to previous advice, he would be required to present his papers the following day, that is to say, the 29th of May, 2017. He had to make plans at very short notice to comply with the deadline.
The Commission will give a decision tomorrow, as I indicated, so we can proceed on the next case.
At some point, the conflict resolution process was cast into doubt with Nairobi senatorial aspirant Edwin Sifuna, whose candidacy is being contested by Gabriel Bukachi Chapia, questioning the jurisdiction of the tribunal over the dispute.
This matter was first filed in the High Court, petition number 192 of 2017.
The work of a tribunal is to hear the substance of the dispute. What my learned colleague is talking about, all these issues of facts that he's talking about, they are issues he can properly speak to them in answer to the complaint.
The hearings were punctuated with heated exchanges, sometimes passionate ones, despite the chair outlining the rules of engagement.
Please avoid sideshows. Given the strict timelines and the fact that we have many disputes, counsel for each side will not get more than 5 minutes to ventilate his case.
I want my matter to be dispensed with immediately, because this is not a matter for this review.
In the afternoon, 2:30.
Sasa ile kitu ningeomba, cause yeye aliniadvise hata nije hapa. Kaniambia kwa sababu time ilipita, in fact aliniambia aende aongee na Mungu wake. Tuonane kesho yake. Nikaenda usubuhi kesho yake, kuonana, akaniambia Mungu wake amemwambia the best thing ni tuje hapa. That's why I'm here.
A total of 46 disputes are on the program, 8 on the senatorial slot, 6 parliamentary and 32 for the member of county assembly seat. However, the IEBC tribunal ruled it will announce its determination on the disputes on Tuesday, 6th June. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
Now, the Burundi National Defense Forces, the BNDF, has deployed a new battle group to serve under the African Union mission in Somalia. The arrival completes the deployment of Battalion 43, headed by Major Chatier Nyandwi, which takes over from Battalion 37 that has completed their tour of duty.
The group was received at the Mogadishu International Airport by the Sector 5 commander of the Burundi National Defense Forces, Brigadier General Venuste Nduwayo, and the commander of the outgoing battalion, Major Adolf Gaguruka. Speaking at the airport, Brigadier General Nduwayo saluted the outgoing battalion for a job well done, noting that the troops had played a key role in liberating parts of Somalia, the recent one being Murtigo.
The battalion that is rotating out has executed its mandate very well. The troops have exhibited discipline and always observed the rules of engagement. They have done very well, and I take this opportunity to congratulate them. I hope that they will continue with the same spirit back home.
The Sector 5 commander added that the outgoing battalion had been instrumental in implementing Operation Antelope, whose objective is to open up and secure main supply routes, particularly in the resource-rich Irshabelle state.
We will work with our Somali brothers, and with the training we have got, I'm sure we will deliver and that Somalia will attain peace.
Major Gaguruka urged his successor to serve diligently and build on the already good relations existing between the Burundi National Defense Forces and the local community.
The message I can give the new commander and his team is that he should maintain or even improve the existing good relations that we have by working closely with the local population and the Somali national institutions.
The Burundi National Defense Forces is in charge of Sector 5, which is headquartered in Jowar, the administrative capital of Irshabelle state. Janet Chapia, KTN News.
Angola's opposition party, alongside civil society groups, have expressed concerns about the independence of the Electoral Commission ahead of upcoming August general election. Opposition politicians are leading protests and have vowed to continue demonstrating for credible elections. At least 4,000 Angolans marched through Luanda over the weekend in a country where protests are rarely allowed. President Jose Eduardo dos Santos, who has ruled Angola since 1979, is due to step down in August. Elsewhere, 5 people, including the gunman, died after a workplace shooting in suburban Orlando, Florida. According to police, the 45-year-old shooter, John Robert Newman, opened fire at his former employer's house before killing himself. Officers described the shooter as a disgruntled ex-employee who was previously fired by Fiamma Incorporation. The shooting took place almost a year after 49 people were killed on June 12th last year at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. U.S. President Donald Trump has outlined a plan to privatize the U.S. air traffic control system. Trump has urged the U.S. Congress to separate it from the Federal Aviation Administration. Trump's announcement on air traffic control is part of a week-long push to publicize his plans to overhaul the country's aging infrastructure as the White House faces a growing probe into alleged ties between its campaign and Russia. The proposal faces a major hurdle in Congress, where Democrats and some Republicans oppose it.
In a modern age, yet our air traffic control system is stuck painfully in the past. The FAA has been trying to upgrade our nation's air traffic control system for a long period of years. But after billions and billions of tax dollars spent and the many years of delays, we're still stuck with an ancient, broken, antiquated, horrible system that doesn't work. Other than that, it's quite good. The previous administration spent over $7 billion trying to upgrade the system and totally failed. Honestly, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. A total waste of money, $7 billion plus. It's time to join the future.
British police have named 2 of the 3 attackers who killed 7 people near London Bridge late Saturday and injured dozens more. Officers now say one of them was previously known to security services. London's Metropolitan Police said the attacker was Kuram Shehzad Butt, aged 27. Butt was previously known to police and MI5, a domestic spy agency. Police identified the second attacker as Rashid Redwane, aged 30, who also went by the identity Rashid El-Kar and was not known to police. The United Nations has called on world leaders to jointly address problems plaguing oceans and threatening marine life, including global warming, overfishing and pollution. The UN conference of almost 200 nations seeks ways to implement a UN Sustainable Development Goal to safeguard the oceans adopted by all governments in 2015. The Ocean Conference, which ends on Friday, will also promote partnerships such as between governments and businesses to address issues like marine pollution, ocean acidification and research. The trial of comedian Bill Cosby started yesterday in Pennsylvania. He arrived at a court in Philadelphia accompanied by actress Acacia Knight Pulliam. Cosby, 79, is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Costant at his home in 2004. Costant, a former basketball player at Colby's alma mater Temple University and more than 3 decades his junior, will appear as the prosecution's key witness during the trial, which is expected to last 2 weeks. Cosby has denied ever assaulting anyone, saying the encounters with Costant and others were consensual.
You know, this is never anything that feels good. However, I came to support because this is where you hear the facts. This is where the truth happens. It's easy to support someone and to be in their corner when things are great, when things are good. But true family, friendship, integrity is how do people show up and support when things aren't looking so great.
It is 46 minutes past the hour. A reminder of our question of the day. We're interacting with you on this one. And that is a big story taking place in the country. Do you believe there is goodwill from either the medics or the government to end the nurses' strike? Do you believe that there is goodwill from either the government or the medics to end the nurses' strike? The hashtag is Morning Express KTN. You can also tweet us at KTN News or tweet me directly at Michelle Ngele. Griffin here says, I think it's a 50-50 thing based on both the nurses and the government's interests. So do continue giving us your thoughts. Later on, we'll be speaking to the chairman of the Kenya National Union of Nurses as well as the Deputy Secretary General on how to solve this issue and why now for the strike. But this is Morning Express. Let's continue with the coverage. And to sports news now, SportPesa Premier League defending champions at Tusker were bundled out of the SportPesa Super Cup by Tanzanian giants Yanga in the penalty shootout after playing to a barren draw. Earlier, AFC Leopards booked a place in the last 4 thanks to a 5-4 win against hosts Singida. Leopards won in penalty lottery.
Oh, he's missed it! Smashes it into the crossbar! It is done and dusted! The champions of Kenya.
They are attacking and they're going forward and looking very, very good.
Oh, what a goal!
And the fast is on. So under this particular time and with the sun.
A big challenge. Katerega there. Fiamenyo Gilbert finds the back of the net. The expectation is absolutely no problem whatsoever. Super Cup, they were on the back foot from early on. Kitunyi Tafadzwa from Zimbabwe put a lot of pressure on AFC Leopards. Plume.
Meanwhile, Ulinzi Stars FC yesterday received a multi-million one-year sponsorship deal from sports betting firm Elite Bet Kenya. As part of the deal, the Ulinzi Stars FC club will be kitted with branded uniforms of black, red and white, having the logos of the two organizations. Said the Defence Force team is known for its broad-based appeal, discipline and consistent great performance. Ulinzi Stars chairman, Lieutenant Colonel Eric Olo, promised that Ulinzi Stars FC would deliver on its part of the bargain.
Ulinzi shared our common values as an all-inclusive unit. When you look at Ulinzi, you're looking at the rest of the country. That's one of the key things we looked at.
All the money that you will invest in this sponsorship will be put into good use, and every penny will be accounted for.
There's a lot at stake as the Coca-Cola National Secondary School's Term 2 games start today at the Shanzu Teachers Training College and the Shimoletewa High School in Mombasa County. You can expect some fireworks when football defending champions St. Anthony from the Rift Valley clash with their rivals Kakamega in the Under-16 opening match. Host Ramisi from Kwale County and representing the Coast region will make their debut in the games when they play Garissa High School in another Pool A match. The games end on Saturday. Kenya's senior women basketball team will take part in the Africa Cup Championships after winning the FIBA Africa Zone 5 Championships at the Makande Gymnasium in Mombasa yesterday. The team easily won their 3-by-3 match against Uganda 21-6 to enhance their chances of winning the women's title and qualify for the Africa Cup Championships. Kenya team comprised of Betty Kananu, Salma Selviambo and Natalie Akinyi outplayed the Ugandans from the first to the final whistle. In under-18 girls, a 3-by-3 Kenyan team outsmarted Uganda 19-11 in another tight match. In other girls' matches, 18 matches, Uganda, coached by Hamza Nyabogo, clobbered Ethiopia 21-9. In senior men, the Kenyan team found the going tough after they lost 13-17 to Uganda.
We have our under-16 boys and girls who are doing a good job. They are not overage, and we can see them playing with these experienced players who have been trained even outside their country.
Hatuko hapa kushinda kama makocha wenyewe wanavyosema, wako hapa kuanzisha timu mpya changa na kutengeza future basketball za siku za usoni.
So it's now 51 minutes past the hour. You're watching Morning Express on KTN News. We take a short break now, but do stay with us. When we come back, we welcome our viewers from the KTN Home channel and continue with our coverage. Stay with us.
This is KTN News.
Negotiated the salaries with the nurses, what was to be put there. But I understand that there are pressures to change those negotiated salaries to be higher, more than that was there. So probably that is creating the delay in the conclusion, because if they have gone beyond what SRC had recommended, then again it means that you have to renegotiate the salary. But according to us, that salary package that was provided to them in January and was signed off is what should be in the CBA, and conclude the CBAs as quickly as possible.
Nairobi, the city in the sun, is Kenya's capital and home to more than 100 international companies and organizations.
What I like about Nairobi is the beauty of Nairobi itself, the natural beauty. I think it's the only city that has this beautiful park in the central, of the city.
The adoption of the new constitution and the devolved system of governance has seen a lot of changes being realized in Nairobi City County under the able leadership of Governor Evans Kidero.
Muda haujui ngoja. Waliomba muda wakapewa masaa 8760. Muda umeanza kuyoyoma. Tayari matokeo ya mtihani yameanza kuonekana. Wakiwa bado wanafuta chozi waliopoteza kwenye mchujo, sura mpya zimejitokeza katika ulingo wa siasa. Je, ni adhabu za mpiga kura kwa muda uliopotezwa bila matunda? Je, serikali ina uwezo wa kumshawishi mwananchi kuwapa nafasi nyingine?
Nchi iko na hasira zaidi na hawa watu na hao hawelewi.
Na je, upinzani una lolote jipya kwa mwananchi? Pata majibu kwenye Dira ya Wiki, ambapo tunakupa ufahamu kwa mduara.
Results speak for themselves, with over 20 billion shillings now successfully delivered into the hands of the most vulnerable members of our society every single year.
Viongozi huwa wanaunda vikundi ambavyo ni haramu. Katika kaunti ya Embu kuna kundi ambalo limeundwa katika area ya Runyenjes, we have intelligence, inaitwa Chapa Ilale, na kuna ingine hapa Dallas inaitwa Mkuki. Hizo ni vikundi ambavyo vimeundwa na viongozi ndio kuwasaidia kuleta vurugu, ndio watumie vurugu ndio kuweza kuendeleza ajenda yao ya kisiasa. Na sisi kama kamati ya usalama tumekabiliana na hao. Chapa Ilale tayari tumeshika viongozi kadhaa na tumeweza kuwahoji kiasi. So hivi karibuni mtaona wale ambao tutakuwa na evidence tukiwafikisha kotini, lakini pia vile wanasema Chapa Ilale, sisi pia tunataka kuchapa mpaka walale, kwa sababu hatuwezi kuruhusu vijana watumiwe vibaya.
New thinking. That became the catch cry of former USSR President Mikhail Gorbachev. And it was an apt slogan as the Soviet leader embarked on major domestic reforms in 1985 and proclaimed the need for new political thinking in international relations. Gorbachev's primary goal was to revive the Soviet economy after the stagnant Brezhnev years. He called for increased industrial and agricultural productivity, fast-paced technological modernization, and attempted to reform the Soviet bureaucracy to be more efficient and prosperous. Gorbachev soon realized that fixing the Soviet economy would be near impossible without reforming the political and social structure of the communist nation.
The point is, we have established a democratic framework. Free elections are the guarantee that from one election to the next, society will have a better and better view of what each candidate stands for. Therefore, we'll make more informed choices.
The reforms included personal changes, most notably the axing of his foreign affairs minister, along with other old thinkers. Gorbachev was putting the wheels of democracy into motion. Former UK Prime Minister John Major.
Well on the way to democracy. I think that is the greatest legacy he will leave within the Soviet Union, and that is a remarkable legacy.
The USSR was already suffering severe economic stagnation, but with increased diplomatic, military and economic pressures, President Gorbachev introduced the liberalizing reforms of perestroika. According to Gorbachev, perestroika was the conference of development of democracy, socialist self-government, encouragement of initiative and creative endeavor, improved order and discipline, criticism and self-criticism in all spheres of society. Gorbachev's attempts at reform, as well as summit conferences with United States President Ronald Reagan and his reorientation of Soviet strategic aims, ultimately contributed to the end of the Cold War. It's now acknowledged that fundamental reform destroyed the pillars of the Soviet regime. Ultimately, it was the interaction between Mr. Reagan and Mr. Gorbachev that transformed Europe and the world. The unlikely partnership repaired relations between East and West, led to arms reduction deals, and eased tensions between the superpowers.
First Ronald Reagan Freedom Award in recognition of your imperishable contributions to the freedom of mankind.
1988 would see Gorbachev's introduction of glasnost, which gave new freedoms to the people, including greater freedom of speech. This was a radical change, as control of speech and suppression of government criticism had previously been a central part of the Soviet system. The press became far less controlled, and thousands of political prisoners and many dissidents were released. Gorbachev's goal in undertaking glasnost was to pressure conservatives within the CPSU who opposed his policies of economic restructuring, and he also hoped that through different ranges of openness, debate and participation, the Soviet people would support his reform initiatives.
This is a very great man. Just look at what he's done. He restored liberty to all the East European countries who'd suffered both under Hitler and under communism. He brought it for the first time to the peoples of the Soviet Union, real political and personal liberty. That is a tremendous achievement over quite a large area of the globe. And he did it all without a shot being fired.
The fall of the Berlin Wall, a Nobel Peace Prize in 1990, Gorbachev's achievements led to the downfall of communism, which brought Eastern Europe in from the cold.
This is KTN News.
It is now 6 a.m. Good morning. It is the second hour of Morning Express. So those of you joining us on KTN Home, welcome aboard. My name is Michelle Ngele. Let's look at the latest this hour before we talk to nurses on their strikes demands. And the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has rejected the collective bargaining agreement signed by the Council of Governors and the nurses. This comes as officials of the Nurses Union snubbed a meeting called last evening by the Council of Governors. And as our reporter Francis Ontroma now reports, the nurses' strike has entered the second day.
The moment the call was made by the Kenya National Union of Nurses to begin the strike, the Coast Provincial General Hospital was affected almost immediately. Hospital administrators started to turn away new admissions, as those already admitted were served with an exit notice. Patients, some in critical condition, left with reckless abandon.
Ninatibiwa kidonda cha mkono uliovunjika uwekwe chuma. Chuma tumenunua. Je, leo tuangojea tuwekwe chuma. Tunaambiwa kuna mgomo, sisi tutoke tuende zetu. Sasa tunauliza vitu tumenunua chuma, simeenda dieta tunaambiwa leo imefungwa, hakuna kazi hapo, tutoke tuende zetu. Hata watu wa chakula wanatuambia wameambiwa waende sawa, wasilete chakula tena hapa.
Itamsaidia vipi babangu? Serikali jamani, watu angalie, sisi ni watu hatujiwezi. Hatuna uwezo. Mamangu sasa nitamfanya nini? Nitamtoa pale nimpeleke wapi?
Inside the wards it was utter confusion. Everything seemingly way off base.
Nimelipa pesa ya tieta, nimelipa pesa ya chuma, na bado sijahudumiwa mpaka sasa hivi.
A couple of hours after the strike began, at the CPGH entrance it was mass exodus. Patients stranded, most of them not sure where to seek relief.
Leo kufika saa 5 nimepata habari kwamba wote waende nyumbani.
hakuna manases ambao wanafanya kazi. Na huyu mgonjwa pia bado hajakuwa vizuri. Nitakubeba tu kama mtoto mdogo niende naye nyumbani. Pesa ambao natakana ni 30,000. Hiyo pesa saa hii amekuja briefly, sina hata ndururu saa hii.
Kuna madangu hapa tulikuja naye since Friday. Ilikuwa takana afanyiwe dialysis. Akona cervical cancer. But since then tulitoka kwa emergency, tukapelekwa kwa ward na hakuna kitu imefanyika. Madaktari wanakuja na muangalia, wanatuambia tungoje.
This lady tells me that she has a patient in the intensive care unit. All along it has been a case of racing against time to save his life. The situation has now been compounded by the nurse's stalemate. Hospital authorities have given her a 6 p.m. notice to have a patient out. It's a nightmare.
Inaelekea mahali pabaya. Kwa nini watu wasijali uhai wa binadamu? To be realistic.
She's not alone. Even as the script begins to develop, confusion from both the national and county governments seem to deepen the plot.
Once SRC makes a pronouncement on the matter, county governments will go ahead, together with national government, will go ahead and sign a CBA with the nurses union.
It's really very surprising to us to see that county governments cannot conclude CBAs. Yet we negotiated the salaries with the nurses, what was to be put there. But I understand that there are pressures to change those negotiated salaries to be higher.
The Kenya National Union of Nurses wants all its 45,000 members across the country to engage in the strike to push for the signing and implementation of the CBA. Patients may not understand the nitty-gritties. All they know, the government has let them down again, exposing them to suffering. A couple of weeks since Kenya recovered from its worst ever strike in history, the health paralysis is yet again knocking on the doors of Kenyan hospitals. And here at the Coast General Hospital, the situation is getting worse by the hour. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, at the Coast General Hospital, Mombasa.
And as it stands, the Council of Governors is acting surprised that the draft nurses' collective bargaining agreement has an inflated figure from the one agreed on in January. The chair of the Council of Governors, while calling on the nurses to end their strike, expressed concern that nurses are demanding 40 billion shillings every financial year in the draft CBA. Treasury CS Henry Rotich also called on the county government and nurses to execute the CBA without involving the national government.
Draft CBA proposes Kenya shillings 40 billion, 366 million, 442,400 over and above what was approved in the return to work formula, which is Kenya shillings 3 billion, 474 million, 144,000 for every financial year. The above amount will require huge adjustments of budgets for both national and county governments to cater for it.
It is really very surprising to us to see that county governments cannot conclude CBAs. Yet we negotiated the salaries with the nurses, what was to be put there. But I understand that there are pressures to change those negotiated salaries to be higher, more than that was there. So probably that is creating the delay in the conclusion, because if they have gone beyond what SRC had recommended, then again it means that you have to renegotiate the salary. But according to us, that salary package that was provided to them in January and was signed off is what should be in the CBA, and conclude the CBAs as quickly as possible.
Well, that report forms the basis of our question of the day this morning, where we are asking you, do you believe there is a goodwill from the medics and the government to end the nurses' strike? That is the question we're posing to you this morning. The hashtag is Morning Express KTN. Let me sample one or two of your views. Bernardo Pio says goodwill to end the strike is wanting from both the medics and the government, and I believe there is also some politics at work. We also have Matara Innocent, who says this back and forth problem should end once and for all. The CBA is like a constitution. Let us sign it when we know we will honor it. It's a shame for Kenyans. All right, thank you, Innocent. Do continue to give us your thoughts and comments. We continue reading them out. Remember, This is a big conversation in the country. Do make your voice heard as we take part in this conversation. And of course, later on, we'll be speaking to the chairman of the Kenya Union of Nurses, as well as the Deputy Secretary General, just to get their side of the story. They'll be joining us right here live on our Dawn Debate. Moving on, a 5-judge bench of the Court of Appeal is today expected to start hearing an appeal logged by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission contesting the confirmation of presidential election results at the constituency level. The appeal, which has been supported by the Attorney General, emanates from a decision of the High Court directing that final presidential results be announced at the constituency level.
The decision on whether presidential results should be announced at the constituency level or not has for a while dominated political circles, with the opposition National Super Alliance Coalition NASA threatening to boycott the polls should the Court of Appeal rule in favor of the IEBC.
Kura ikihesabika kule mashinani, uamuzi huo ndio wa mwisho. Kama mahakama itabadilisha hiyo sheria, hakuna uchaguzi Kenya.
Kama wewe hutaki kwenda kwa uchaguzi, wewe kwenda nyumbani, wale wengine waendelee na mambo yao.
This morning, the 5-judge appellate bench will hear the appeal by the IEBC seeking to have the High Court decision which declared that the results be announced at the constituency level nullified. The electoral body contends that granting returning officers power to declare presidential results is contrary to the provisions of the law, since IEBC chairperson is the returning officer for the purpose of a presidential election and therefore has powers to vet, audit and verify results from the constituencies.
Whatever is said out there is not going to influence the decisions of the court. The judges know their duty. They will live by their oaths of office.
NASA has already sought to be enjoined in the appeal as an interested party. The initial case at the High Court was filed by UN Special Rapporteur Maina Kiai and rights activists Kelef Khalif and Tirop Kitur. Janet Chapia, KTN News.
President Uhuru Kenyatta will tomorrow start a week-long Meet the People tour that will see him visit Kisii, Nyamira, Kakamega, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu and Bungoma counties. The visit to the counties of South Nyanza, Western and Rift Valley regions come immediately after a successful tour of Nyandarua, Laikipia and Nakuru counties, where President Kenyatta unveiled the key planks of his re-election bid. Today, President Kenyatta will be in the South Nyanza county of Kisii, where he will address citizens at Masiba, Keroka, Keumbu, Jogoo, Nyatieko, Nyakoe, Suneka and Tabaka. From Kisii, the president will on Wednesday head to Nyamira. In the afternoon, he will be in Kakamega. On Thursday and Friday and Saturday, the head of state will make an extensive tour of Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu counties, the country's grain basket. The president will also be in Trans Nzoia County on Thursday before heading to Uasin Gishu County on Friday, where he will begin by presiding over the Kenya Defence Forces Recruits Passing Out Parade at the Recruits Training School in Eldoret, and in the morning he will tour Eldoret town in the afternoon. Meanwhile, Peter Kenneth has also hit the campaign trail as he seeks to unseat Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero come the 8th of August. Accompanied by his running mate Dan Shikanda, Peter Kenneth toured Kibera and Pangani, where he pledged to implement a more devolved system should he take over as the Nairobi County boss. Kenneth, who is vying as an independent candidate, says he will bring services closer to people and empower the youth. On his part, Shikanda says they will fight cartels affecting service delivery.
Na nimesema katika sera zangu za ugatuzi, lazima tufanye ugatuzi kutoka pale City Hall tuilete mashinani katika maeneo bunge, ili kila eneo bunge liwe na soko la kifahari, ili wachuuzi wetu wapate nafasi ya kupiga biashara. Nikasema katika sehemu ya ugatuzi lazima kila eneo bunge iwe na gari ya kuzima moto.
Watu wanapewa pesa ya kununua dawa hospitali, wana supply hewa. Mtu akisha kufa anakimbia na kuja Matango apigwe picha kwa gazeti na TV. Mnataka hiyo? Mnataka hiyo? Maji inatoka Gatanga huko Ndakaini ndani ya pipe 200 kilometers mpaka Nairobi. Ikifika Nairobi badala isambazwe ikuje kwenyu about 10 kilometers munawekewa kwa mitungi, munawekewa kwa malori.
A middle-aged woman was killed and her body dumped in a stream in Mwingi town, Kitui County. Mwingi Police Boss Patrick Okeli said the body, which had no physical injuries, was that of 25-year-old Mbadhe Willie Kasula, a recent divorcee. He said investigations are already underway and the culprits will be brought to book. The body of the deceased was taken to the Mwingi Level 4 Hospital mortuary for post-mortem.
Around 7:20 this morning, when an officer from the administration police came to the police station and they informed the OCS that he has received an information from members of the public that there is a dead body which was behind the Matatu terminus, main terminus. There is a lager. There is a nearby small slum known as Karibandi.
The National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich has confirmed that the ministry has instituted measures to prevent county executives from either embezzling or misusing funds during this electioneering period and inauguration of the new county governments. The austerity measures that came into effect on the 1st of June include monitoring and clearing of critical services involving the IFMIS system by Treasury. Rotich says other operations at county government levels, including payment of salaries, will not be affected.
We have seen instances where county governments are moving money to some areas that are not productive. Maybe because as we head towards elections, there are many unproductive expenditures that's happening now. And we are monitoring that very closely with the together with the controller of budget to ensure that counties do not engage into expenditures that are not productive at this particular time as we end into election. That does not mean constraining, but if we can see a county is moving money from development and puts into a vote there called governor's votes or an area where we think they are going to spend in a manner that we think it is unproductive, then it is within our control to help them to ensure that they don't enter into unproductive expenditure at this particular time in the year.
The private sector has released a report card that gives a thumbs up to the Jubilee government's performance in creating the right environment for business. The government also received a buy-in from the private sector and plans to create more jobs, internships and low-cost housing. This happened as the government and the private sector agreed to focus on how to create more jobs, create more openings for internships, and how to build low-cost housing for the urban poor. During the opening of the 7th Presidential Roundtable meeting, President Uhuru Kenyatta said the government will partner with more private sector to create more jobs.
That is currently borne by all young people. We've been able to gather, working with your government, about 3 billion Kenya shillings. 396,000 SMEs were registered by 2016 by the Registrar of Companies, up from 45,000 in 2014. This is a great prospect for job creation as we see them grow. On the Business Registration Service Act 2015, again, this gave reduced some of the bottleneck and challenges that undermine business regulatory environment, a great attraction of FDI.
Without a doubt, our doing business indicators are improving. Without a doubt, some of the legislation that had been stalling for a while has indeed passed. the Companies Act being one that we had all been waiting for a very long time, in terms of our Huduma centers, in terms of making it easier to register businesses and to access government services without having to wait in long queues. What we have done in terms of eliminating some of the fees that were an impediment, the NEMA problems and etc., that were an impediment to business. These are things that we have done. Our focus also on infrastructure, on energy. I think we have also committed and delivered on some of those aspects as well. But all of this is not to say that there's still not more to be done. And we would want to hear from you where we can indeed improve on the issues that you believe to be a priority.
Angola's opposition party, alongside civil society groups, have expressed concerns over the independence of the Electoral Commission ahead of the upcoming August general election. Opposition politicians are leading protests and have vowed to continue demonstrating for credible elections. At least 4,000 Angolans marched through Luanda over the weekend in a country where protests are rarely allowed. President Jose Eduardo dos Santos, who has ruled Angola since 1979, is due to step down in August. And 5 people, including the gunman, have died after a workplace shooting in suburban Orlando, Florida. According to police, the 45-year-old shooter, John Robert Newman, opened fire at his former employer's office before killing himself. Officers described the shooter as a disgruntled ex-employee who was previously fired by Fiamma Inc. The shooting took place almost a year after 49 people were killed on June 12th last year at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. U.S. President Donald Trump has outlined a plan to privatize the U.S. air traffic control system. Trump has urged the U.S. Congress to separate it from the Federal Aviation Administration. Trump's announcement on air control traffic is a part of a week-long push to publicize his plans to overhaul the country's aging infrastructure as the White House faces a growing probe into alleged ties between his campaign and Russia. The proposal faces a major hurdle in Congress, where both the Democrats and some Republicans oppose it.
Yet our air traffic control system is stuck painfully in the past. The FAA has been trying to upgrade our nation's air traffic control system for a long period of years. But after billions and billions of tax dollars spent and the many years of delays, we're still stuck with an ancient, broken, antiquated, horrible system that doesn't work. Other than that, it's quite good. The previous administration spent over $7 billion trying to upgrade the system and totally failed. Honestly, they didn't know what the hell they were doing. A total waste of money, $7 billion plus. It's time to join the future.
British police have named 2 of the 3 attackers who killed 7 people near London Bridge late on Saturday and injured dozens more. Officers now say one of them was previously known to the security services. London's Metropolitan Police said one attacker was Kuram Shahzad Butt, aged 27. Butt was previously known to police and MI5, a domestic spy agency. Police identified the second attacker as Rashid Redwani, aged 30, who also went by the identity Rashid El Qadar and was not known to police.